Hey everybody, this is Frank from Frank's Clean Jokes in Athens, Georgia. Hope things are going good for you. I want to tell you about our first dog. Dogs and cats are absolutely wonderful, and particularly when you're young, but millions and millions of people love their dogs and cats. Our first dog, I was 6 years old, sitting on the back porch, and my father, who had a furniture store and had furniture trucks, he comes driving in and he gets a big pasteboard box and holds it above his head. And he comes and sets it down on the ground in front of us three boys, Robert, Frank, and Alan. And we look in there, and there's the most beautiful, cutest little solid black dog you ever saw. And we played with that dog till we wore him out. Okay, he was ready to go to sleep that night. And we started talking about what are we going to name him? Well, our wonderful mother, Mary, read us the funny papers, we called them back in the day. The Sunday comics in color came out in the Sunday paper. And one that she read to us every Sunday was Snuffy Smith. So we decided upon the name Snuffy, okay? And so he was just a mutt, but to us, he was much more than that. He was our pride and joy. And Snuffy was wonderful. We then moved to Gordon, Wilkinson County, where I started in the second grade. And a few years later, Snuffy got run over by a car. And it broke his right front leg. It got other parts of his body too, but he was in very bad shape. And we were all crying. Robert, Frank, and Alan were crying. And we, I think in our 53 Buick, I believe, we put him in the back seat in a pasteboard box, and we took off to Millersville to go to the vet. Well, it was either a Saturday or a Sunday or a holiday, and the vet was closed. And then we turned around and went all the way to Dublin, Georgia, to Dr. Smalley. And he came down to the office, and he diagnosed what Snuffy's situation was. And he told our mother and daddy, and they came out to the car and said, well, okay, boys, here's the situation. Snuffy's right front leg is completely broken. It's in bad shape. He's in bad shape. And Dr. Smalley says he can set his leg at a 90-degree angle. I'm talking about like this right here, y'all. See that? Snuffy's right leg could be set at a right angle. And Dr. Smalley thought he had a good chance of getting through the operation and living. Or he could try to straighten it out. Alan seems to think the discussion was about putting some kind of ball on the bottom of his foot so he could roll. Okay, I don't remember that. But here was our question from our parents. Do you want Dr. Smalley to set it at the right angle? Snuffy will probably live. Or he could set it straight, maybe not live through the operation, but then it would be better for Snuffy if he makes it through the operation, have the straight leg. We didn't even discuss it between ourselves that I can remember. We said, we want Snuffy to live. We want Snuffy to live. He was our pride and joy, okay? And so that's what they did. And I guess he stayed down there a week or 10 days, and we brought him home. And Snuffy lived from the time I was a 6-year-old till I was a junior in college, 20 years old. He had 14 years, okay? So 7 times 4 is 28 and carry you 2. So I guess he lived like the adult equivalent of whatever that is, 98 years. So he lived to a ripe old age, and he was wonderful. So let me tell you about Snuffy, okay? This wasn't just any dog, just like I'm sure your pet, your cat, your dog is not just any little dog. Your dog or your cat is yours, and you love them like people love their children, all right? So what would happen is Snuffy would run, and of course he had that right front leg out at a 90-degree angle, and sometimes he'd scrape the ground. And everybody noticed that. It's like, what is going on with that dog? Well, Snuffy liked ice cream. So down at the local drugstore in Gordon, Georgia, Dupree's drugstore, we would buy ice cream for us and get him one and hold the cone. We'd get down on our knees and hold the cone, and Snuffy would eat that ice cream. He would lick it. I mean, it might take 10 or 12 minutes, but he would lick that ice cream till it was all gone. And sometime a crowd of people gathered, said, look at that dog eating ice cream. So he loved vanilla ice cream. All right. Other things to tell you about Snuffy. My parents' furniture store was about 3/4 to a mile from our house. Of course, we went to elementary school, and Mama was Daddy's secretary and did the books and everything at the furniture store. So they both went to the furniture store. The back door to the furniture store was these like big, tall wooden doors that would swing open, but they were like 10 foot high, big, heavy wooden doors. But Snuffy would go every single day from our home. He would go the 3/4 to 1 mile. He would wait at the railroad track. All right, now, small town USA, the railroad track ran right through the middle of town. And we had Freeport, Kaolin, a chalk mine. And so sometimes you could stay at that railroad crossing through the middle of town 10 and 12 and 15 minutes. You know, I have counted over 100 boxcars filled with clay, kaolin, coming through there. But Snuffy would sit there just like a person waiting for those boxcars to go by. So many people remarked to us about that over the years. Then when it cleared, he would go across the tracks, cut through the alley, and go to the furniture store. And what he would do with a running start, because he was walking on 3 legs with the other one up in the air at a 90-degree angle, he would get a running start and run and take that left leg and push that door open. And while it was open, he would dart in. And he would go around and sit right by my mother, who would make a fuss over him. She loved that dog, and he loved her. And he would stay there 5 or 10 minutes, and then he would go back home. He was happy. He knew where his mother was. Okay? So that's a little bit about Snuffy. And other things about Snuffy, he slept, when we were young in grammar school, me and Robert and Alan slept in the same room. We had one big bed me and Alan slept in. We had one single bed that Robert, he was older, 3 years older than me. I'm 2 years older than Alan. So right now we're 76, 73, 71. And Snuffy would sleep on mine and Alan's bed, on top of the bed, on the cover, down near the bottom. So that's how we grew up with that dog. And whenever Snuffy passed away, I was in college at Georgia Southern, and I came home one weekend, and he died after I got home that day. And at age 20, I cried. I mean, I really did, you know, like a grown man, but I cried. Think about this. Snuffy had been a part of my life at that point 14 out of the 20 years. It's like a family member passing away. So love your pet, love your dog, love your cat, whatever pet you might have, because they depend on us. They love us and we love them. Right now in the apartment complex Alan and I live in on the east side of Athens, it's small. We don't have any dogs currently. Before we moved here, we used to have 3 out in the country. Layla, Sassy, and Buster. And right now, I am feeding nearly on a daily basis 6 cats that live in the woods behind the apartment complex. There's one that hangs out all the time on our porch. So I feed her every day. And then Alan fixes a lot of baked chicken and whatever, and the leftovers we put out. So there's like 6 or 7 different cats that eat off of our back porch, real regular. So I still love pets. I will always love pets. And I treasure the memories I had of Snuffy. What a wonderful dog that meant the world to Robert, Frank, and Alan. All right, love your pet. Take care of your pet. Y'all take care. Bye.